Welcome to Why Real with Ryan Sautman here. If you are interested in joining Real or would like to get to know some agents within that are or managing brokers that are within Real, this podcast is for you. I'm Ryan Sautman, and if you have any questions about Real, feel free. You're plenty fine. Feel free to reach out to our guest today, who is Jani here, or you can reach out to my cell phone. My cell phone number is 618-670-6418. Or you can DM us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Also on all your podcast platforms. So today I would like to welcome our guest, Jani Burke. She is my managing broker and for the state of Illinois. So how are you doing today, Jani?
I am great, Ryan. Thank you so much for having me. This is really just an honor and a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today. So I don't want to talk a whole lot. I really want to give you the opportunity. If you're an agent within the state of Illinois, that's our goal here today, is sometimes switching over brokerages can be the scariest part of switching over to a broker is knowing if we have a good managing broker or not. So it is always so nice to be able to hear a little bit of the background on managing broker and just who they are as a person. So, Jani, you have a very interesting background, so I'm going to stop talking, and why don't you tell us a little bit about your real estate journey and a little bit about you yourself.
Well, thank you. Thanks for asking. It's. I think I've been in the business longer than you've been alive, Ryan. So there's that. So, kind of worn all the hats, seen all the models, had all the experiences. First and foremost, I'm an agent. I'm in terms of how I think and how I process things. So I understand what our agents are up against every single day. The market's ever changing. Clients while there's only so many things that can happen in a real estate transaction, people are people, and we're in the people business. So that's really my guide. I think is just. Is knowing, okay, we're going to come across some challenging things sometimes, and you need a good sounding board, right? So I do believe a managing broker is that person. It's not just to keep us out of jail. It's to help coach and guide and teach along the way. Just to give you a snapshot of my journey. Started many years ago, I worked in technology, and I was a single mom, and so I just did it part-time for 10 years. It was, it was like, can't sell enough Avon to make up for real estate transactions, so did it that way, and then I jumped in, I would say probably around 2004, full-time, and at that point, the only models that had ever existed really were just the traditional models. I mean, that's just how real estate had always been done. And who knew any different? And then you'll hear a common theme as I explain this. A new model to us, which was Keller Williams. I give them a lot of credit. They were ready for what was coming in that market in a way that so many weren't. And so if you look at the history of their trajectory, it was right in 2008 when things really took off because they were prepared for that market, and they had a different model that was more geared toward the agent. So opened up my first Keller Williams in Glen Ellen, Illinois in July of 2008. What a fabulous time to start a real estate brokerage. Yeah, right? The entire world imploded months later. And so, of course, my agents are in crisis, their clients are in crisis. What's a short sale? No one even knew. No one had ever even heard of that. And so steep learning curve there. But then I took over another one in Northern Illinois a few years later that was just about to close, and we got that back to profitability and such. But then
two brokerages. You had two.
I did as a franchise owner. Yeah. Okay. So, and to be honest, Ryan, it wasn't a smooth road. The first one we actually opened in 2006. In business with the wrong person. I'll just tell you, people, if you're going to get in business, make sure everybody's got skin in the game. That's the bottom line. And so we imploded 18 months after that. So the relaunch was in 2008. And so just realizing, okay, even on the front end, when we opened in 2006, it was a model that really served the agent better than what I had seen. And so that was kind of intriguing. That's what attracted us to that model. And so my thinking to this day is still what's best for the agent. And so when we imploded that first time, I started getting phone calls from competitors right here in my local market saying, hey, gee, sorry, you fell apart for the world to see, but I think you're my new managing broker. My agents say they want, and I said, thank you, I appreciate that. I genuinely do. I'm flattered.
It's flattering, yeah.
But I can't sit across the desk and try to tell an agent that your model is the best for them because I now know it's not. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm saying, the common thread. So I decided.
You're not a good salesman on something you don't believe in, is what you're saying.
I have to believe in it. I truly have to believe in it. I'm not.
Yeah.
I truly want what's best for agents. They work hard.
Yeah.
I want what's best for they and their families. And so fast forward, new market disruptor came on the scene and changed everything. Now virtual, right? And so I sold my franchises and I went to EXP as an agent. Ended up having the pleasure of having lunch with the then president. I asked her, can I just pick your brain for 45 minutes? This is all so new to me. The model's so different. I'm just trying to understand it. And 2.5 hours later, she just very sweetly said, would you like a job? And I said, no. She goes, but you do. I said, no, I really don't. I really don't. She said, give me 2 weeks. You're going to want this. So I ended up, vice president of growth over the 20 central states, and honestly had a blast. But interestingly, at the time, the biggest objection was, I need an office. Right? It's this mindset that we get ourselves into. And then COVID hit, and that took care of that. We all now know that we may choose to have an office. That's great. But we don't need an office. Too often in the larger brokerages, to be honest, Ryan, too often agents go there and they spend their entire day talking to their friends. Their licensed friends, mind you, who are never going to buy a house from them. Familiar with that pattern?
Just a little bit. I'm a little bit known as a chatty Cathy, so.
Well, yeah, and that's fine, and it's great to have that camaraderie, but what do we need to be doing?
Right.
Lead gen.
Selling houses, yeah.
We need to be out talking to consumers and potential clients, right? So, all that to say, COVID did take care of that misnomer that I need an office, and so I had a great time in that role. I truly did. I will just say, when you're the trailblazer in being an industry disruptor, you're going to do some amazing things. And you're going to mess some things up pretty good, too. And so a dear friend of mine, we all know and love, Sheila Dunnigan. She was my Texas broker when I was in my VP role, and we got to be great friends. She had made the move over to Real as the EVP of operations, a brilliant woman. She ended up getting Real onto the entire U.S. map, every state, every MLS that we're a part of. She's since retired, but she made the move, and I was just about to I was like, this just makes so much sense. I put them side by side, just makes so much sense. And I was about to make the move. And a dear friend of mine who was at my old KW top producer said, I'm coming to EXP. I was like, okay, I guess I'm staying. And unfortunately, Matt, top producer, great guy, but he had ocular melanoma, and he passed just a couple months after that. So his wife and I, we stayed there for another year. So all that to say, I've been here 4 years. I would have been here 5, but because I just felt that the model was more conducive to my business and my journey. So again, I'm sorry, that's probably a long answer to a short question, but
Plenty fine.
Bottom line is, I'm not just for myself, but if I'm going to talk to another agent about what I believe is best for them, it's not going to be self-serving. It's not going to be because I want someone, or I'm trying to sell someone, but rather I truly believe it's best. And this, to me, is hands down the best model in the market.
Yeah.
Because the consumer, quite frankly, Ryan, you and I both know the consumer is going to have the same experience based on the agent. I mean, all companies in the background are providing a level of service. You're really hiring that agent, right? So it really is important what the company offers to the agent.
Yeah. And as you say that, I say the exact same thing to my clients whenever it comes to lenders. I always tell everybody, like, hey, Rocket Mortgage, you can get lined up with a Rocket Mortgage lender that is stellar. Or
100%.
you can get lined up with someone that you have no clue, like, how good a quality it all comes down to that specific lender. Now, us as us agents, how much we like seeing the Rocket Mortgage pre-approvals come across. There's some, we get a little nervous about those sometimes, but it really comes down to the individual lender. That's why I tell everybody, if you don't have a relationship with the lender, get connected with someone that is proven lender. Not necessarily, doesn't matter who he's with or she's with. It matters who that person is, how good of a lender they are, just like us as real estate agents.
100%. Yes, you can be, I mean, in theory, someone could be, one of the best realtors on the planet and just hang their own shingle. Heaven forbid,
Right.
I would never want to do that again. But and the consumer doesn't care,
Yeah.
honestly, what company you're with, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I always make the joke of, buyers, if you're in, if back in the day you had them in your car, it's just like, oh, well, no, we don't want to go see that house. Look who it's listed with. They don't care. They don't care, right?
Yeah. Right.
Back in the beginning, we're in a people business. So,
Yep.
so yes, we serve our clients as best we can, regardless of
Yeah.
the shingle that we're hanging under.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you've been with Real for 4 years now.
Correct.
What's your journey within Real itself?
So again, came as an agent. We were just beginning in Illinois, and so I don't know what agent number I was in Illinois, but it was pretty early on. And our previous managing broker, great guy, he did a stellar job. But about 3 years ago, I want to say, he called me, and I think we had only met one time. He called me and he said, I know you really don't know me, but I'm leaving the country for vacation for a week. Can you help me out? Because you have your managing broker license and stuff. So I did, and at that time, they were also looking at the state going, he's actually done a great job here. We have enough agents that they need someone as a backup. And I said, I'll raise my hand. So actually, I've been in kind of the supporting broker role for about 3 years in the background. John Barnack did a phenomenal job, and
Yeah, he did.
really, he and put a lot of systems in place and things. But he and I were just I was kind of like the silent partner in the background, working on compliance, and being a sounding board for him. So, didn't step into the full managing broker role until January 1st of this year.
Nice. So, and I tell you what, we've been blessed because, like I said, switching over to Real, John's been phenomenal. And then once I got the news that you were stepping into the primary position there, I was like, oh man, we're good. We're still good.
Thanks.
So,
I appreciate that. Well,
Yeah,
it can be scary if you don't know, what the person brings, because again, people are dependent on you when they come to a company, whether it's here or somewhere else. If you've encouraged your colleagues to come to a company and then, you get blindsided by well, whatever, but certainly the managing broker role.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And what I love, since we've been able to start talking more, since you've been in that role and not just, hiding behind the scenes a little bit, what I love about you, Jani, is the conversations that I've had with you already. You have an aspect of, like, you truly care, you truly have a teaching aspect, and I just, I just can't appreciate it enough on your
Thank you.
how you lead. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And so are you just managing broker now, or are you still in production as well here and there?
So actually, recently the company changed basically the compensation, the employment structure of managing brokers. When you're first starting and you're getting your legs under you, I think all companies have done it this way. Managing brokers were basically a 1099 contractor, just like everyone else. So throughout 2026, they are rolling quarterly all the states into a W-2 format. So in the past, 1099, those brokers could sell as little as they wanted. In this current structure, we really don't want our agents to feel like we're in competition with them at all. Now that said, there will probably be 4 or 5 times a year that either family member or past client or somebody's just going to call and say, at that limit, they're okay with it. And so,
Sure.
it's kind of a win-win. I'm not going out looking for it. I'm not marketing myself. That's not the plan.
Yeah.
But those things that would just naturally, because we're in the people business and I've been doing this for 33 years, they're okay with a handful of transactions. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that because you have that teacher mentality, and you just do fulfill that bucket for you through us through us agents.
Well, and I do think at that level, I think it's really helpful for the broker to at least have their pulse on the current market for themselves, right?
Sure.
Because as things change, or you run into things just with all this change, since August of 2024, that you're actually experiencing those things, so you can speak firsthand to them. But that said, I would never want any sales, and they won't be, any kind of distraction from my primary role, which is serving the agents.
Yeah. So, and as far as serving the agents goes, someone on the outside that is not part of Real might sound crazy that you are the managing broker for the entire state of Illinois. And that was a concern of mine whenever I first came in, was like, one managing broker for the entire state? That sounds wild. Yeah. So, but now that I'm on the inside, I see how the systems and flows of things. So can you tell us a little bit about how you are able to manage and not go crazy and lose your mind?
The jury's still out on that.
I'm managing the whole entire state of Illinois.
And you nailed it. The systems that are in place, we are just a technology company at the core. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm going to be honest, as much as I love ChatGPT, I was like, who's Leo? Why would I want to talk to Leo? And quite frankly, agents will call me with questions and I'll be like, hang on, Leo? Yeah, because there are some things just within the systems I'm still getting, caught up on. So Leo is actually our first point of contact, and our entire transaction system is called reZEN. Leo is an expert in reZEN, like the fine tuning. I have this, how do I enter that? Just ask Leo. The truth is, Leo is going to give you a very detailed, either spelled out or verbal, whichever you choose, response that you can literally go step by step by step by step. You don't have to try to wait for a phone call back. You don't have to wait for an email back. 99% of your questions are going to be answered right on the front end. Next layer then is within reZEN, there's a call button where an agent, okay, I talked to Leo, or sometimes it is complicated. Sometimes it's a one-off and Leo's like, was that helpful? No. So next step would be the call button. And so, sorry, when I rang the first minute that you were talking, that was a roar call. So the system is called roar, and an agent can call right through the platform, right through their app or their laptop, and it links directly to my phone. And so in this instance, which will happen, I'm in meetings, I'm doing this sort of thing, whatever the case, if I can't pick up, then Roar is going to transcribe it in writing and give me the recording of the voicemail, which quite frankly is often very helpful, because then I know what the call is about and I can actually call back with the answer instead of asking more questions about what the question is, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm very accessible, but because there's so many layers of first defense response, honestly, it's very manageable. It is very manageable. I probably get 5 Roar calls a day from 600 agents. That's very doable.
Yeah.
For sure. Or if it's not something urgent, then in reZEN, when in the transaction system, in the checklist, if they're confused, like what this hasn't been marked compliant, why not? Can you help me understand? We can respond there too. There's so many methods of communication. Mm-hmm. I guess if anything, that's been my steepest learning curve, is like, okay, there's emails, there's reZEN, there's Roar, there's, for the brokers, we have a Slack channel. And so, yeah, a little Lucy and Ethel in that way, just like, okay, yeah. Keep it coming.
So, and that's what I love about as I've gotten, you literally have to get almost conditioned a little bit as an agent on what the protocol is to go through the process. And once you get kind of used to what that protocol is, first and foremost, always ask Leo, our AI,
Yes.
because it's unbelievable how many times he asks questions. In the beginning, when I
And
first
the
came
more
over,
you ask, I don't mean to interrupt, but the more you ask, the more he learns.
Right.
So go to Leo first because
Right.
it's only to get better. So I apologize.
right.
Go ahead.
And to your point, I have asked similar questions whenever I first joined a year ago. Whenever I was asking questions of Leo that he didn't know the answer to, and then now I can ask that same question and it knows. And so ask no matter what. Leo is the first person to ask, first AI. You ask him first, him,
Yep.
her, Leo. You know the
Should have named it Pat or Chris.
there you go. Yeah. There you go.
Old SNL skit.
That's too funny. But so, and then I even had, and then how we condition and train other agents is, someone like, and I was asking another agent in my network, hey, how do you do this? And he literally would screenshot him asking Leo and then just send it over to me. He still answered the question for me, but he also was teaching me how to go and fish myself. So that was very cool. And
So
then
you're asking me questions, but let me ask you a question before we move on. For those listening, talk to me about your network and how you support one another.
Fantastic question. So we have within immediate network, a smaller network, we have a text thread that we do communicate back and forth through with each other. I can reach out to one of the things I love about Real is we can get in our reZEN app and see who's in our network, who's above us, who we have within our own personal network and that we're building. But I can go in and to our reZEN app. Literally, reZEN app is like everything. Like you can do anything you need within real estate or within your within the brokerage through reZEN app. There is no need to go here, need to go there, need to be on the computer. The reZEN app can do it all just as what the web browser can do. Super cool. But I can go up to anybody within the app and see who's all in my upline, my network, and reach out to them and ask them questions. And
they will respond.
They will. And that's what's really, really cool. A Clayton Getz, for example, he's in my network and he's like 3 up, so he's not making a whole lot of money off of me, to be honest. But he's always more than willing to help me. Yeah. And he's got a monster network that I can't imagine how he keeps it all, but he does. Right. And he's even still able to help the ones that he might not be making a whole lot because it's a passion.
And I'm 100% sure he doesn't even weigh it that way.
No. You're right.
The person in first line, person in the bottom line, person in the middle, it doesn't matter. We're all here to lift one another up and truly, just coach one. Something you said about the reZEN app, I have to admit, when Sheila first told me about the app, she's like, it's all about the app. And I was like, okay, I think I get that. But it really hit me one day when I was somewhere away from my laptop, was not going to be back at my computer for, hours upon hours. But I had a client from the previous year, a significant purchase, and they were doing their taxes and reached out, hey, any chance that you can get me my closing docs because I'm working on my taxes right now. And I was like, okay, well, let me just, I'm not going to get back to my laptop for a while. I'll get them to you as soon as, and I went, hang on a second. Went into my app on my phone, download the document, shot it over. He was like, whoa, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
So, it really is an impressive app. Your entire business is on that app.
Yeah. And it's impressive to say it works just as good as if you were sitting at your computer on your browser. And that's it's a hard thing to do for an app, to really and flow properly. Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
So, and then within talking about the apps a little bit more, our systems of processes as agents is first we ask Leo. Leo doesn't know, or maybe it's a very specific question about a real estate deal or a certain transaction. Instead of me just calling your cell phone, we go into the reZEN app or website and go to the transaction. Then we ask questions within that transaction. And what I love about that, and you can touch on that on this as well. What I love about that is there is no me calling Jani and saying, hey, do you remember that one transaction I was telling you about a couple weeks ago? I know you talked to, 50 other agents about their transactions too, but do you remember that one I was telling you about? Let me spend 20 minutes rejogging your memory on that.
Right.
We just send it, and so when I call you, whether we're sending a
All
message directly
documented.
to you, yeah, or I'm calling you, when I'm calling you through reZEN, through that specific transaction. So as that phone is ringing on your end, am I right in that regards? Like, exactly Ryan's calling on 123 Main Street.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It will record it as such. I'm not sure when I pick it up. I'm trying to think of a call I might have had that might have been, because if I pick up, I mean, it's just voice to voice right there. I don't think it's telling me ahead of time. But,
Gotcha.
if I'm picking up, I'm probably sitting at my laptop and, we're gonna get it resolved right then and there. But
to
yes,
your point,
otherwise-
though, to your point, it whenever I call, and then you can go into that transaction and you can see the conversations that we had.
Exactly right.
Because we called through the transaction, not through a random cell phone, and that was
Exactly right.
yeah,
Exactly.
and that
right.
was something that John had to. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so on the back end, so say like that call that I missed in the beginning of the podcast. So when I go to call that person back, the very first question the system is going to ask me, is this related to a specific transaction? Well, I will have already seen the transcript, I will know, and then I can link it to that so that I already have it in front of me when we start the conversation and already kind of know the context.
Yeah, and I've even used that. I've actually used that in the past because if I call you on your cell phone, that's gone. I don't have any kind of recordings on it. Whatever advice you might have given me, I've used in the past where John was giving me some advice and I couldn't exactly remember. I was getting ready to head into something and my mind was split. So I just hopped back into the transaction. The whole conversation was recorded, and I listened to his advice again, and it was even transcribed. So I didn't even have to listen to it. I could just read what he had.
Yeah.
So
because
I mean,
everybody's running and gunning, right? And so
yeah.
Sometimes we're in the moment, but we're still distracted. And then we're like, wow, what did they say about that? So you can go back and see, the details.
Right. And then, of course, the number one most important thing for us as agents is we're always anxious to get paid, right? So
Yes.
and we're not necessarily waiting on one person to go in and approve when we got all the documents uploaded, we can upload them from our phone. We're not waiting on Jani because she's having some personal time out doing whatever. We got a whole team behind us, behind you, to be able to get stuff approved and moving along.
And I can't. This is every environment. Agents, especially your top producers, like, get the leverage that you need so that you can get your paperwork in. Don't take it all on yourself, because that can be frustrating if at the end there's a delay in getting paid. But a delay in getting paid only comes with not having uploaded documents. So it's easy to solve. It's just best to get in as soon as the transaction is occurring, just get in there. And then if something does get returned, a signature is missing or some critical piece, then you can handle that right away. And it's not, 24 hours before the closing. And then, you're scrambling to get pieces. And quite frankly, getting signatures from clients post-closing is never as easy as getting them when they're motivated. So
100%,
it's just
right.
So it's just a matter of getting those things uploaded, and I'm in there every single day, morning, noon, and before the end of the day, marking things compliant or requesting something, if I need to send it back or whatever. But we do. We have a whole team. It's not just dependent on me. We have a whole team that's in there reviewing those files.
Yeah. Awesome. So changing gears a little bit. You've been with Real for 4 years, and I'm sure you've seen people come, people go. What are some of the main reasons that you see agents that come to Real for?
I think the main reason is technology and culture. So everything that we've been discussing with the apps and it's pretty much a wow factor. I mean, it just because it streamlines so much of a productive agent's business. So that alone is quite impressive. But the culture, when they say work hard, be kind, I mean, truly, from Tamir on down, They
Yeah.
mean it. They mean it. And I've been a part of brokerages before that, it's all about the culture until something doesn't go well and culture just, flies out the window. So I see a very strong preservation of the culture. I think in terms of naming sponsors, the most brilliant thing Real did along the way was give the ability to co-sponsor, because that prevents what I've seen in previous places, that prevents that siloed, these are mine,
Right.
these are mine. It really became very adversarial within the company, which destroys culture. And so the ability to co-sponsor if someone wishes, that just resolves a whole lot of things. So I think people come and honestly, it's just to me, it's the most agent friendly financially. It's almost like it doesn't make sense to not be here.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
and of course, coming from, my original franchise, it was recruit, right? And so recruiting is, let me pull you along. And sometimes I would be in conversation with people 3 or 4 years before they made the decision to move, right? Attraction truly is attraction because it's such an attractive model that
It is.
honestly, I don't believe that most agents make the move with intending to recruit or attract. It is a different conversation. It is, quite frankly, a different skill set if you really want to build something big. But those conversations are going to happen naturally because it is so attractive. And so I do want our agents, because growth was part of my journey. I do want to be a resource for our agents to have those growth conversations to help agents. I would, for a couple years, all day, every day, my job was to get on a phone call or on a Zoom, something like that, with an agent from a different broker, and because they were thinking about coming to that brokerage. And I would say to my agent, please do not gasp out loud when you hear me say this, because this is the first thing I'm going to say. And I'm going to tell that agent, whether they're from Remax or Keller Williams or Colwell, the first thing I'm going to say to them is, it is not my role here today to convince you to come to this company. And, well, yes, of course that is. No, it's not. No, my role is to explain the model as best I can, to answer any of your questions. You're an intelligent person. You're responsible for your own business. It is to equip you to make the best decision for you and your family. And that's where I believe our model, just because it is so attractive, speaks for itself.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% agree. And it's amazing to me how they almost crafted the model from a financial standpoint of it works for no matter where you're at in your career.
That's
it
right.
works.
That's right.
I've seen new agents. I got someone that I work with that is a full-time teacher, and he does a handful of deals a year, and it's perfect for him because he
Right.
doesn't have any monthly fees.
Exactly.
So, or as a capping, if you're at that capping level, the cap point is very, very reasonable at 12,000.
Absolutely.
Once you start getting that further along, you start hitting elite agent status. Then you get basically all your
Basically get
expenses
it all
that,
back and
you
more.
get it all back in stock. And then so you're instead of looking at it as expenses, you're looking at it as you're actually building your 401k, or your
Exactly
retirement
right.
account.
That's exactly right. And again, the brilliance of being able to then tap into those elite agents, give them extra incentive to go into Real Academy and teach courses, because for that brand new agent, for that teacher who's like, I haven't come across this before, to have those resources that I will just say, again, in a traditional years gone by model, you really only had, for the most part, access to your local market experts, maybe your region. Once a year, you get to go to a conference and hear people talk from the platform. But in this environment, it's so collaborative across the entire country. I mean, open house ideas from somebody in California, they might do things completely different than we do here in Illinois. And you're like, whoa, I never knew that.
Right. And that's one thing you saying that just brought up a really a point that I was wanting to make. You were talking a little bit about the silos aspects, and one of the things that Real is very, very passionate about is that is not a thing within Real.
Not a thing.
We're not allowed. It's not allowed. And
That's right. So spell that out so people understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So in with other brokerages that might have a silo aspect to it where, hey, if you come into my network, if you come over to XYZ and if you join underneath me, if you put my name down, I'm going to give you all these benefits, all this education, all these benefits, systems and stuff, and I'm just going to give them to you. But you can only get those if you come under my name. Real is 100% opposite of that. They come from the approach of, if you are giving any kind of benefits to agents that are in your network, you have to give it to the entire network of Real.
Correct.
So, and I love that.
And again, it goes back to a culture thing, because say I'm Susie Q Realtor, who I do 10 transactions a year, but I've got a great reputation in my market. And my agent, or the agents that I work with, are asking me about my company, right? And they're thinking about making the move. And I'm the one who's had those conversations. I've met them for lunch and coffee and answered all their questions and gone over all the figures and everything. And then they go online, they're like, ooh, but here's this guy in, again, I don't know, California or Vegas or whatever. He's going to give me all these things. So I'm not going to name Susie Q. I'm going to, it destroys culture. It does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can really discourage just the average agent from ever even, they're like, well, that's not a game I get to play. Everybody, I can't play at that level. And so it's really, really important to protect that.
So then for the average agent, for the opportunity to be able to generate extra income annually, it's hard to do that whenever you got these people that are offering
compete.
that much value.
You just can't.
And very tough.
And you don't have the opportunity to even co-sponsor if you wanted to.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I love it. Okay. So what do you? Well, let's play devil's advocate. What do you see whenever someone is in Real and they decide to leave? What are some things that you see that agents end up leaving Real for, or end up not making a decision to join Real?
Yeah, I would say we have an incredible, industry record-breaking retention rate, which does not surprise me. That said, there will be people who will leave for different reasons. I would say probably the primary reason would be everything you and I have just discussed, Ryan, is all available to them. When people don't tap in, they might feel disconnected, right?
Yeah.
There's a nationwide group of people who are here to help you, support you, coach you, teach you, encourage you. All the systems are there, but if you choose not to tap in, you can be like, this I just feel disconnected. I need my people. I need to go back and talk to all my friends who are licensed who are never going to buy a house from me.
Right. And the way that is achieved, the way that Real achieves that really is I was my first 6 months in, I didn't really hop on and do any of the education, our academy that we have available, our weekly repeating calls that consistently happen. And I didn't necessarily see the community aspect other than the people that were in my network and people that whenever I was in their network, I communicated with them and had good conversations with them. But as I've started to really realize like where the community comes from, we keep on talking about this community aspect of it that's with a virtual brokerage. It almost seems counterintuitive, but it's really achieved through, I feel like, through these weekly calls that we all have a common alignment with, whether it's social media weekly calls or just whatever it might be, helping seniors calls or whatever it might be. Those are where we start building our community and where we start really creating those relationships. Pretty cool.
Well, and what's so interesting is, we always say real estate is localized, which it is. When we're talking about transactionally, it's very localized. Pricing, communities, whatever, it's very local. Our real estate community is not. It's local, but my world opened up when I all of a sudden had friends nationally and people I could tap into everywhere for different ideas and different. So yeah, it really expands your world. It really truly does.
Yep. So as we are wrapping up here, is there anything that has you really excited about Real lately, or something that might be coming in the pipeline that you're excited about?
Well, I think just the thinkers in the leadership of this company are just mind-boggling. I mean, you almost like don't know what you don't know, but the whole fintech aspect of this, having real wallet, having money available, capital available in your real wallet for expanding your business or marketing, when maybe there's some bump in your income or I should say bumpy road in your income, that there's, you have those things available. So there's just, we've got mortgage, we've got title, which, most companies do. I don't know of others that actually have opened up that financial aspect. I mean, truly, you can tell, again, from Tamir on down, the goal is we don't want our realtors, our agents, to get to the end of their career and have had this transaction mindset, which too many historically have had, which is why you never go to a realtor retirement party, because they don't retire. little lady with the blue hair, she's still pounding that last sign in the yard, right? And so you can tell just between all of the different aspects, passive income, it's whether it's stock, whether it's rev share, of course, your transactions at such a low out-of-pocket cost, but then to have these fintech pieces on the side of that, I think that would be the most recent, like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it does beg the question, like, can't wait to see what's next, because I'm sure I don't even know what's coming down the pike.
Right. And whatever they talk about, it seems like when they're up there talking about, Tamir's talking about something or whatever it might be, it's like it's going to be here within 2 to 3 months whenever he's talking about it, which is awesome.
The time to market on the commitments and proposals that they've tossed out there have just been mind-boggling. Because I do know, just even hearing from other agents currently in different environments, it's like, they've been talking about that, or they've been working on that for 5 years and it still doesn't work. And so, I think the level of talent in terms of vision and expediency to market is just remarkable.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. Well, Jani, thank you so much. Like, this has been amazing.
Fun.
A lot of fun. So I appreciate you coming on today. Like I said, if you are an agent that is thinking about joining Real or in the Illinois area or wherever in the area, we can help you out throughout the entire country and Canada at this point. So
that's right. That's exactly right.
If you are interested in joining Real and would like to have a conversation, Jani, what is a good way for someone to reach out to you?
Well, since you're not with the company, you don't have the app, and you can't call through Roar, you can either email me at Jani, Jani, .Burke, Burke, at therealbrokerage.com. Or if you want to just pick up the phone and have a conversation, as you can see, my approach is not to tell and sell you on anything. If you just want to have a discovery call, feel free to use my cell, and that's 630-828-7090.
So, and then appreciate that. And then my contact information, if you'd like to reach out to me, is 618-670-6418. You can always DM us in our socials, like I said, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This podcast will be on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. So follow along.
You can find Ryan on TikTok. You won't find me there.
This is one. You're in Illinois.
Yes.
This is one awesome managing broker. So I can't put my stamp of approval hard enough. So I appreciate your time today.
I appreciate it as well. Have a great day, Ryan.
You too.